Hi, I also have a pipeline that creates only the host pool and the desktops. It doesn't create a application group or a workspace. So it is a little bit more granular, and there's also a work item for it in the govern phase to optimize and automate the setups. So we are talking about that pipeline here, and if you run it, you see that you got a little bit more parameters that you could specify. Of course, we need the administrator or the domain join account. We have the name for the host pool. We have the namings for the session hosts for the virtual machines. And we have a name for the numbering. Also, we need to specify the subnet in which the desktops are be placed in, and there's also a parameter file that specifies which virtual machine parameters should be used, specifying, for example, which virtual machine type to be used, which kind of storage option we use, and which kind of operating system should go onto or should be pre-installed in these desktops. And this can be specified in this parameter file. And of course, this is all in your code repository, so feel free to edit this and adjust it to your needs. After launching this pipeline, you've done that before, you know what happens. It takes a while until the artifacts are taken from the repository. Then we'll do again a bicep deployment and deploy these the virtual machines and the host pool using a bicep deployment. So it is a nested deployment, meaning like we have a big deployment pipeline, or we have one ARM template that is calling a nested ARM template, and it takes a while until the virtual machines are being created. You see here from the inputs in my field, I have 2 session hosts specified, a 0 and a dot and a 1, and these numbers are sort of suffixed to my prefix name here. So after a while, my virtual machines are being created, the host pool is created, and the virtual machines are being assigned to that host pool. First, they show up as unavailable. Give it some minutes until they turn green. And if we go to the virtual desktop phase and look into the section here, we see the host pool is being created, but we don't have an application group, and we don't have a workspace. Right? So this is not being created by this pipeline. However, if you want to give the user access to these desktops, then we obviously need an application group, and it's just a step of a few parameters. If you're familiar with Azure Virtual Desktop, you know what it is about. We want to publish the desktop access, not single applications, so that's why I used publish the desktops. We selected for a users group. They should be allowed. And in order for these users to see something, we need a workspace, but we'll do that in a later step. So let me first create the application group. There it is. You see, you get one application, which is the desktop, and one assignment, which is the users that are allowed to access these desktops. And in order for these users to see something, we need a workspace. And we place that workspace, we give the workspace a name. You may also give it a friendly name. And then make sure that the location that you use for placing these Azure Virtual Desktop artifacts into matches the location of your application group, right? So they need to fit together or be the same in order to be assigned to each other. Okay, that was creating the workspace, and in the next phase I'm going to test this by accessing the web portal for Azure Virtual Desktop. And if you're not if you don't have the correct URI in hand, use your favorite search engine and type in names like this: client access web for AVD, and under the web client you'll find, you may turn to English in order to read that better. Okay, so you take these URI you'll see here at the bottom, right? So I copied it and used an incognito window, and so that my browser is not using the cached credentials from my corporate credentials here. I need to log on as Azure Virtual Desktop user, which is in the Azure Virtual Desktop users group that I gave permission to the desktop. And here's my desktop, my workspace, making the desktop access visible. If I go to the desktop that I've just created, I'll get my second logon prompt, and I need to specify the correct domain name, which is contoso.local for my test domain, for my proof of concept domain. And if everything works out fine, I can log on to the desktop using the browser and make a check on which host I've landed. And you see it's the AVD host 0, which was one of the hosts that I've created. So that's it.